everybody. It's your boy Norn Red 89 here back with my buddy Steve as we're going to nowhere today to tackle season four, and we're going to be talking about the first three episodes. And how you feeling about these ones, Steve? Are you excited to discuss?
Well, I'm always excited to discuss courage with you. But I mean, as far as like a batch of it, but there were a couple of really good ones in here. They sort of again with the sort of the horror. I think there were a couple of really good horror inspired ones.
Oh yeah.
And some other sort of little references here and there. So I mean, they kind of again like they do a good job like always going back and forth. So yeah, it
Oh
was a
yeah, I loved
good
it because it was
yeah.
like I said, horror strong, but also comedy. So I agree with you for sure.
Yeah, good 50-50, I think, with this one.
So do you want to kick us off with the episode one of season four, part one?
Yeah. Or also episode 2 of season 4. I don't know, because if people remember, we couldn't tell if it was the finale or it was part of the season. The number, the it was a none of the sources align.
Oh
So
yeah, when it comes to Courage Wiki and HBO Max, yeah, the episode listed differs when you look at them.
yeah. So we follow along. I mean, on the wiki, this is episode 2 of season 4. On Max, this is episode 1 of season 4. So who knows? But the first segment, Rumpelstiltskin, Muriel's uncle Angus invites her to Scotland, where he imprisons her and demands that she make thousands of kilts. Courage must learn Angus's real name and free Muriel. So obvious reference, Rumpelstiltskin.
Yep. That was a fabulous one. I thought the story, Rumpelstiltskin, is a perfect story to kind of involve them, especially when they did it with using Muriel's family, because we know Muriel has a myriad of crazy family members that end up showing up. So it's totally believable that she could possibly have like an Uncle Agnes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was expecting it to really, that's what it was. Like, all right, here's another crazy relative. Her family tree is insane. But it ends up not being the case, as we find out. But yeah, sort of I never read Rumpelstiltskin. I've seen like adaptations of the story, but this idea of like he sort of, traps someone in to make, I think he's like, I forgot what the original story is. I think they just have to like sew garments or they have to sew like
Yeah, they
straw.
use that specific machine. Yeah, I think. And then when something happens, when like the main character like pricks her finger on the machine or something like that, I remember that like was part of the original story. And they
Yeah.
kind of make this one more just like you said, a sweatshop version where he just brings Muriel in to make these kilts because apparently he has thousands and thousands of orders for all these kilts that people want.
He's got a booming business, but you think you'd expand a little bit, on a labor force. But yeah, no, it's just him making kilts for, I guess, all of Scotland.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah, because it's like it was a lot.
Yeah. Everyone in Scotland just gets it from the same person.
So what did
Um,
you think about the kind of the bickering and almost like the comedy aspect of them trying to
yeah.
pull the name out of him?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I sort of like that Courage kind of goes and does his research, figures out the name from his mom. So sort of Courage is a bit of a sleuth in this episode, right? So he has to go and kind of investigate, figures out his real name. Courage can't talk, so he's got to do, the charades version of
Sure.
it.
Oh yeah, that was so
Made me
fabulous.
think of like Beetlejuice when they have to try to like get someone else to guess the name.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it when Courage gets animated because that's the best part when you use his character. Even his voice when he can't speak, the sounds that he makes, the screams. Courage is very animated for sure in terms of a character.
Yeah. I'm bummed that she wasn't somehow related to Rumpelstiltskin. But it was a very funny back and forth. The Scottish accent, I feel like, is always prime for comedy as well.
The Scott, you think it's an easy accent to pick on kind of a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of, poking fun of itself a little bit. I mean, I know that people overseas sort of always kind of poke at the Scottish accent. So
And
they tend to get crapped on a lot.
yeah, I would think so. Yeah, it's kind of funny how specific accents like you could pick them out. There's some that are not as, unique and stuff, but yeah, Scottish ones, I think, like you said, it's very like comedy heavy. Like there's just a lot of uses for it and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I love when she was like, how am I supposed to find all the the wool for this, And then like plaid sheep start flying
The
in.
plaid sheep. Oh my God, yeah, that was hilarious.
It's like, okay, you don't have to dye it, none of it. You just, get your plaid from sheep directly.
I know, and then it was so cute. Our kind of resolution. He was so just kind of upset with his name, didn't like his name, and like Muriel's like, "Well, you could always just change it. You can just, pick a new name."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love that the name was pretty much just Rumpelstiltskin.
Yep.
So was this an origin story in some way?
For his name, yeah, it's an origin story.
I mean, I also kind of like the message of his, like, like what's in a name? He kind of just had his kilt business. Kilt was in his name, and sort of feeling like you have to fit whatever, but you don't, you could pick your name, you could pick your identity, be who whatever. So kind of like that aspect of it.
Yeah, it was like I said, this was a fun one because it wasn't, this was one of those ones that wasn't horror heavy, but the
Hmm.
themes and pulling from kind of an OG story was really fun. How Courage and they put their twist on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But so yeah, want to get into part two?
Let's do it.
All right. So part two is house calls. A lonely scientist named Dr. Gerhardt wants neighbors, but his sentient house, who is very old and envious, fends them away. So yeah, so then this is a little more going to the horror vibes. The sentient house, haunted house. I mean, it was more like that's like Monster House in a way.
That yeah, I got very strong Monster House vibes just because of the
Yeah.
moving houses and stuff. Even the design of the house because it had almost facial features and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And the so he kind of comes up with like this invention, this music to lure neighbors to the play. So he plays it on the old whatever the thing is called.
I think
Something
those are
phone,
recorders back in the day, so, or phonograph, a phonograph, I
phonograph.
think.
Phonograph. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he plays off the phonograph, and the music sort of sweeps the farmhouse with Muriel, this encouraged, as neighbors, and he wants to, a welcoming gift of sardines. He's really into fish.
Oh yeah, that would not be my jam for sure. That's one thing people know about me. I'm not a big fish person. So yeah, the sardines thing, I was like that was a quick turn off. I was like,
Well, if
no,
you're gonna try
I'll pass.
seafood, sardines maybe isn't the way to start. I would say.
No, definitely not.
I'm a big seafood person, but sardines, not so much. Anchovies on pizza. I am that person.
You're an anchovy on pizza kind of guy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I eat the weirdest crap. But I can thank my grandparents for that. Yeah, but so they come in obviously. Eustace wants nothing to do with him, He's like, get out of here, but he wants the sardines, just without the neighborly friendliness, I guess.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was cute too that this episode kind of leaned heavy on our score, or like I said, the music. The score was a very strong part of this episode too, and I love that. Is probably one of my favorite things about Courage is that each season they kind of weave in these orchestral scores or these very haunting themes and stuff like that, and that very much fits the episode that it's in.
Oh, the music's fantastic. The sound design too of like the creaking and like sort of the house noises were really good. I noticed that in this episode, the sound mixing was pretty top notch for the show.
Oh yeah, I love it because you can see like in terms of season three and season four, they're in full swing and everybody seems very comfortable with, like I said, their writing, the style, and now it's just kind of using all their tools to put out, like I said, really good episodes, which is kind of crazy because I've read like online and just kind of feeling out people's vibes of the later seasons, and these ones aren't really talked about as highly as the early seasons, and I don't know if
Sure.
that's because of nostalgia and people being younger and just remembering the older ones, or they just didn't really soak in these later seasons. But like I said, I'm having fun
Yeah.
with these ones so far.
I mean, I think that also has to do with like Courage was sort of in the pre-DVR era as well. So I
Hmm.
feel like maybe the more classic episodes got more replay and
That's true too.
reruns.
Yeah, reruns. That's true. Yeah.
So like I feel like some of these ones like I don't remember these at all. Like the Rumpelstiltskin House Calls. This felt like a first watch for me because it's been I just remember the slab and all like the big hit ones. So I almost feel like getting into this later season, it does feel like whether it was just not tuning in or not catching the replays of these episodes. I mean DVR existed in this at this point. Like I remember, I think '02. So this was like the beginning of TiVo. But I
Taking
wasn't
us
going
back.
out of my way to TiVo courage at this point, you know? This was when I was like getting into Buffy the Vampire Slayer and TiVoing reruns of that on FX, and so I was sort of like past courage, I think, at this point.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, for me, a lot of these so far, I mean, a couple in season three. There was a couple episodes that I like faintly remember, but so far, these first batch of episodes for season four, I didn't remember any of them or recall them at all.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I definitely think the early seasons were more um so yeah, just more fresh. But but I enjoyed this one. This was also another uh episode where the villain's not really a villain. They're just sort of feeling lonely and
Mhm.
funny enough, I mean, both the doctor and the house are feeling lonely. They have each other. The house is getting jealous, doesn't want to let go, but really, the house just wants to be
Wants
taken
some
care of.
attention. Yeah, wants taken care of and some
That's
attention.
it.
Yeah.
So, moral of the story is take care of your house.
Definitely, yeah. That's one thing I can speak to that right now is like, because now that I live in a house that's 35, 36 years old and kind of revamping it and like I said, doing the windows and the doors and kind of, cabinets and everything, just giving it a fresh coat. That way when pass it on to the kids, it'll be, a lot better for them to keep up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, even the house we just got into, not an old house, but like there were definitely some interesting construction choices that we have to remedy as we are settling in and finding wild stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it's definitely important to take care of the bones of the house, do what you can, it's expensive stuff, so little at a time. But really, I love that Courage started by painting the house courage pink,
Yeah.
which is very funny.
Oh yeah. It's his
Um,
style. That's his color. That's his
that's
that's his
it.
hue. That's his
Well, I
hue.
love, I mean, essentially the house kind of became a dog, right? Because I feel like you had the courage pink and then the house licked him at the end with the runner carpet,
Yeah. Yeah,
So
which
it
is
was
very
cute.
Monster Houses. Yeah, like I said, because the carpet was the tongue or whatever in Monster House and everything. So yeah, very similar vibes to the haunting in the house and all that kind of stuff. So very nice, wholesome episode right here.
Yeah, he gets a whole neighborhood. So all those people got uprooted from their homes.
Yep.
So, but as long as they're happy, immediately elected a mayor. It was like, I'm the mayor. You can't live here. We don't have, we're not zoned for farming. So you gotta go. It was funny. It was clever.
Yep. Would you like to
Um,
get into our episode two, segment one now?
yeah, Le Quack balloon. Le Quack kidnaps Muriel and puts her on a hot air balloon. He teaches her to. Oh, I'm gonna go with it. Anyway, I was gonna. It's like one of those like really long ones. I'll just say that Le Quack takes her in
Skim
a hot
it.
air balloon, and it's a heist episode.
Yeah.
Le Quack episodes aren't my favorite. I'll say that. This was you go up and then he's not my favorite.
They're very I want to say they're very cookie cutter. The plot's very similar sometimes, and we never get any kind of character depth with LeQuack. You know what I mean? I kind of have more fun when he pops up just when you see him in the background in like a foreign episode when they go to a different country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're always just sort of like LeQuack has a plot, he's gonna do the whatever scheme, and then that's the end.
Yeah,
I mean it was cute. I mean there was the pretty much the whole scheme was he wants Muriel to help him steal from a Swedish bank, and so he makes her think that she's gonna get Swedish vinegar for her recipe.
or Swedish cream cookies, right? Or right? I think it was like Swedish cream cookies or
Swedish
something like
dream cookies or something.
dream cookies. Yeah.
And then but the bank's just a big piggy bank.
That I thought, yeah, there's like some cute things like I liked and design wise, you said, but in terms of a story and just entertainment value, yeah, this is probably the least favorite of the batch that we had in this grouping.
Yeah, and for some reason they hired Americans to guard the bank. The American military is
That's
there.
true. It was right. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why anyone would trust us with their stuff. Yeah, this especially now. Um, but it was cute. I mean, there was some fun action. The bungee jumping. There's cannons. I mean, it's fun action. I mean, they do action well.
Yeah. Yeah, we just appreciate more, like you said, the villains who are either, like I said, more character depth. They have a better, like either a better resolution to like a third act. Like LeQuack's stuff is very simple. He just gets kind of thwarted, yeah, or stopped from what his plan is.
Yeah, yeah. There's no sort of deeper. There's nothing deeper for like Whack, unless I'm hoping if he gets one more episode, maybe there'll be a little more of a, the Quack has a come to Jesus moment. I don't know.
I don't know. I could see because of how popular he is as a character. I could see him possibly popping up in the movie when we get to the movie. I would think
Yeah,
so,
I'll be
maybe.
really curious. Like, yeah, like what are the greatest hits that they bring in for the movie without it? I hope it doesn't feel overcrowded, right? You don't want them to, because we
Lean
get
on
the Quack
nostalgia
and
too heavy.
Shirley and
Yeah.
cats and they can put everyone. I don't want to put everybody in there, but you ready to move on part two?
Oh yeah, let's hit part two. Yeah, let's do it.
So this was my favorite of the two. This coupling was Windmill Vandals. So the windmill stops turning. Ghosts of terrifying dead vandals return to attack everyone at the homestead. Uh, yeah, so this was kind of cool. This was just sort of calling to like a cursed relic. Sort of a
Yeah.
any kind of movie where someone disturbs something or something goes wrong and they unleash spirits or entities or something into the world. And
Yeah.
this is sort of fun, like the windmill stops working. I guess the windmill also powers the farmhouse, I guess. I didn't
Yeah,
was that
because they go
established?
off of wind. We do find that out. Yeah, that they're a wind farm. Yeah.
Yeah, is that ever established or are we just finding that out now?
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we've ever kind of got an origin story for the first owner of the farm, right? Or the farm area, because they talk about the first owner and his kind of tussle with everybody else because the water runs out and he relies on wind.
Yeah, right, right. Renewable energies, baby.
Yep. So like that's why I mean
Uh,
there's some strong themes of the ecosystem and protecting, and using the right stuff and everything.
Yeah, yeah. But I sort of love that the windmill sort of has these runes on it. And the windmill has to keep running. Otherwise, if it doesn't, right, so it raises these dead vandals to attack. Um I just thought it was kind of like just like a fun little neat um mechanic or element to the
Yeah.
story.
And I like the ghost design, like our little ghost guys. It gave me very much like kind of Scooby Doo vibes. It did, like the ghosts and like seeing their phantom spirits like marching across the plains and everything.
Yeah, very Scooby-Doo. And the fact they were skeletons too also kind of gave me a little bit of Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Um, it's a little blend of the two, I think. But very, I mean, considering this is Cartoon Network, very much probably in line. They were probably referencing Scooby-Doo, but I'm sure Courage writers have seen, Army of
Oh,
Darkness.
definitely. Yeah, we love it that these writers, like you said, they're able to squeeze in these more mature kind of nods to films that we love and stuff like that. So I think this one was really fun. Plus, this was our kind of major one, besides the house one, was our major kind of horror themed episode.
Yeah. It did sort of devolve into, not devolve, I don't want to say it was bad. It was more like you got it silly at the end when it was very kind of like the Headless Horseman, but all the heads were swapping.
That oh yeah, that part was. I
It
thought it
was
looked
silly.
cute though when they had some of them swapped. It was a little cute.
Like Muriel on Eustace's body was really funny. I mean, it was just really funny.
Yeah, it just looks cute because the shape of her head and his body, and like it still had her voice.
It was like big and then like itty bitty scrawny. And like, no, that's wrong. It's all wrong. Um, no, it was cute. I enjoyed that. And then they were kind of, yeah, all their heads were off and they were kind of swapping them in a circle, trying to get to the right one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. So yeah, they infused a little bit of silliness, but it works. It's courage. It works. It's cute.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, this was probably out of this grouping, yeah, it was my favorite one too in terms of the episodes right here.
Yeah. We do get one more classy, I think, horror-esque, with the third episode, if you want to dive into it.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. The Uncommon
Rolling, keep it
Cold.
rolling.
Yeah, Courage seeks a cure for Muriel's unusual cold among some swamp slugs enslaved by a snake by Big Bayou from Yoruba mythology. The cure lies in Big Bayou's book, which Courage must steal in order to heal Muriel and free the slugs. So, I mean, this wasn't like horror, but it's sort of obviously it was, Bayou voodoo magic.
It
Um,
had that, was it Prince? Was that movie The Princess and the Frog? It had that kind of Louisiana aesthetic, like you said, and everything of the swamp setting and all that.
yeah, like Southern Gothic kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Which I really dig. Yeah, there's a Southern Gothic video game coming out that I'm excited to play.
nice.
I forgot what it's called, but it looks so good. But yeah, I enjoyed this sort of kind of that Creole kind of Cajun accent from the snake. And then, just sort of so he's enslaved the slugs because I guess he creates, I guess, these puppets out of his skin that he sheds.
I know, yeah, that was creepy. That was
And
kind of
really
creepy. Yeah, it
cool.
just reminded me. The totems, they kind of look, yeah, like totems are like things like worshiping stuff that they were making for him, basically.
Yeah, and so he sort of sticks them all around like the bayou. And then sort of, Courage, yeah, goes to kind of take the book, wants to cure Muriel, and then in the book he sort of sees like a spell, I guess, to infuse the snake skin and with like the venom to like bring him to life. I just
Yep.
thought that was really cool. So we get a little
Oh
bit of
yeah.
like you well, actually, yeah, get a little bit of that Bayou voodoo magic, the voodoo zombies. Which made me think of, like, didn't Scooby-Doo have a movie like that? It was like
I think
voodoo
so. Yeah,
something.
that's probably one of the most popular ones. Yeah, the zombie, which zombie one? It's like the island one when they go there.
Zombie Island, is
Yeah,
it?
Zombie Island. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It just made me think of that, even though it was like, zombie snake skins, but still cool.
Oh yeah, I loved it. And then even how he like the design of our Bayou snake and the hat, like you said, the accent. And I thought it was cool how like the book kind of gets wedged in his mouth, so that way when he's like spinning and like kind of throwing it around, all the venom kind of splashes onto all the snake skins and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's sort of how he gets because Courage, yeah, reads that you need the venom, and then he was just like, all right, by happenstance, yeah, he like bites it, and I guess as soon as they bite it, right, like I guess it automatically. I don't know how snakes work. I'm afraid of snakes. I don't go near them.
Oh really?
I hate snakes. Oh,
I had and when I was in middle school, we did a thing called Talking Talons, which was kind of a program where they would take us middle schooler kids and we would go take care of snakes and bats and all kinds of animals and stuff. So yeah, I worked with a lot of animals really young, and I like reptiles a lot.
I mean, listen, they deserve a happy life, just away from me.
Away from me.
I don't, you know what is? I had a lot of snake trauma growing up in Florida when I was little, and I
Yeah,
think it was just had to do with like snakes around. Families like get the kid out of the yard. There's a snake, and I just think I was just conditioned to be afraid of them, and I never tried to not be afraid. I never, I'm like, okay, let's do
yeah.
exposure therapy and just get it maybe one day. Um, but yeah, no. But overall, this was a fun one. Anything else that you really liked about it?
Oh, I thought the music, I thought the theme track was very funny. It just kept making me laugh because it was like so on theme with the Louisiana theme and the bayou and stuff, and just having that soundtrack in the background. And I loved it because just thinking of Courage, it's like you could only in cartoons get away with such kind of almost stereotypical stuff, the way you use things.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like, yeah, it's like on the nose, but it sort of feels on purpose. It's funny. It kind of adds
Yeah.
to it. It works. Yeah.
But yeah, that
But
was it. Yeah, I just wanted to mention the track. It made me laugh a few times.
oh, no, yeah, music's always on point. Whether it's silly or spooky, whatever. They just yeah, but no misses. Um, yeah, that brings us to sort of like the last segment of the third episode. Farmer Hunter, Farmer Hunted. Eustace tries to prove that he can hunt like his deceased brother Horst, but a deer family is tired of being hunted, and the father deer decides to hunt Eustace instead. This again, this was a silly one, but I enjoyed it. I thought this one, again, kind of sort of bringing back couple of elements here, right? We're getting a little more of Eustace again. His brother Horst was part of. what was he in that box, right? Or it was like the
Yeah, where he had the some rare antiquity thing that he thought was worth a lot of money.
right, right. And then so sort of, yeah, so the horse was sort of like messing with him in the afterlife there. We get a little bit more of how like much of a bully he was to Eustace.
Yeah. So it's a
Um,
lot of trauma because, like, yeah, even in this episode when Eustace kind of breaks down and he draws the pictures on his shoes, like you can see he has some trauma that he's dealing with, that he doesn't talk about.
yeah, trying to like live because so pretty much there's this big like hunting event that's coming. And then I guess so when he was younger, his brother like excelled at it and sort of like
Yeah.
poked fun at him, said he wasn't good enough, scrawny, all this stuff. So there was a lot of bullying. So like, there's a reason why Eustace is the way he is. So between like Horst and between his mom, like he was really talked down to as a kid. So I really sort of like seeing this, having this insight into Eustace, and then sort of him trying to prove himself with his like hunting bit. Um, Flip side to that, of course, we kind of get a little bit of like, um, you know, a animal messaging, sort of again a little more
Yeah.
environmental with the hunting, and then so the deer sort of fight back, um,
That's
and then
true. That's
courage.
true. That's one thing that we don't ever think about is like if that possibility ever did happen. And I love how like the father, yeah, he just steps up and he wants to do it. He's like, I'm going after him.
I'm going
He
out
has the
doing it.
pictures of Eustace everywhere.
So good, so good. And then courage is like, no, like, no one should be shooting anybody here. And then so he creates a game show. So like, yeah,
Competition, yeah. He's like, let's do some healthy competition, which I always thought was good. That's why I kind of like champion the Olympics. Like I love healthy competition that brings, other sides together, you know what I mean, kind of thing, or different people from different walks of life kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, healthy competition, good way to sort of get it all out, and like sportsmanship. And then also I sort of love where they were kind of going with like the the deer kind of knew more than Eustace when it came to the actual planet. Like there was a question of like, that's the Earth. And Eustace was like, there's just like a
Yeah.
picture of the Earth. Um, then there was like the Big Dipper, it was like a constellation question. Um,
Yeah.
Sort of like kind of poking fun up because there are a lot of environmental messages in a lot of these episodes. And this was around the time, I would say, or maybe like it was like right before. So Al Gore had his big like Inconvenient Truth documentary. I feel like it
Okay.
was maybe a couple of years after this, but like climate stuff was still, was starting to really be maybe more mainstream conversation at this point. So I sort of love it was like, yeah, these big tough guys, they think they know everything about the planet, and the deer's like, yeah, I'm going to show you. I know more than you do, and you think you can, run these woods.
Oh yeah, that's what I love too. Is like we figured out that throughout these seasons and kind of just really digesting these episodes that courage kind of always has, like I said, its finger on the pulse of society. It's always speaking to important things and like messaging and stuff. So that's why this is a show I would champion, like, like showing kids, even if they did want to show this in schools, because there's a lot of important themes and messaging that they can get across with these, especially in these stories and how fun they are and everything.
No, I love it. This, again, yeah, so not horror, which is a bummer, but fun and sort of a clever idea. And I really, again, the writing is so smart in this show. Um, so I really dug it. So I would say, yeah,
Oh
overall,
yeah.
I think yes, the more like my favorite ones would probably be like Windmill, and I think this one were like my two favorites.
Yeah, that was good. I like the windmill one too because I think that was one of the few times we've actually seen Eustace and Courage work together when
Mhm.
they had to rebuild the windmill and they're like
Oh yeah,
rushing
yeah.
to build it back up and like Eustace like he's handing the nails and Eustace is just going with the hammer up.
Well, it's their home, right? So they were like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we have to work together here. I mean, this is where we live. This is, we have to protect our home. And at the end of the day, right, the three of them, that's all they got.
Yeah, that's the three of them, their love and that homestead, got to keep it safe.
Yeah, no, it was a good batch. I'm really like, I'm getting sad. We're nearing the end. I'm curious how they're gonna end it. I'll be very curious. Uh,
Yeah,
I know that
yeah, like
there's
I
a
said,
big,
it
I mean, I
is
I didn't get spoiled in terms of the details, but I know
okay.
that the finale does sort of reveal interesting stuff about Courage's past. So like we are going to end somewhere interesting.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, that's all I know because just based on like the first line and like the title of the episode, I don't know anything else. I don't know what his past is. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to see because I wonder if they knew that this was going to be the last season or not.
I wonder. Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder. I feel like vibe wise, we'll find out more as, like you said, we get later into the season. So this is exciting. Like I said, it's a very melancholy kind of feeling because, like I said, it's almost over, but we are getting close to being able to talk about the movie too. So it's
Oh,
gonna be a fun time.
I'm so pumped for that movie.
Well, thanks again, Steve, for joining me as we talked Courage. It was really fun starting season 4. Anything you want to plug before we head out, before we sign off, that's coming to Voices in the next couple weeks?
So what are we doing? We have more Coffee Crypt, more horrific heroes. Robert and I are doing, we're in the middle of WandaVision. So we've been sort of backwards exploring the Scarlet Witch and her story. So we covered Agatha all along when that was coming out last October.
Hmm.
And then we decided to do Multiverse of Madness, which was Marvel's first horror film. And then now we're going to just kind of go back. We're doing WandaVision, which was the show leading up to that. So we have 2 more episodes of that. It's only 9 episodes of the series, so we're doing three, three, and three.
Cool.
And then more Coffee Crypt coming your way. And plans are in place, which you are involved in. We're gonna have some interesting tabletop role playing, hopefully coming in the next couple of months. So it's very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. It's a system called Monster of the Week. Uh, yours truly, Norn will be there as a
Definitely.
fellow monster hunter. I will be running the games. But yeah, role-playing games are like hot and heavy these days. Everyone's loving them. D&D is selling out Madison Square Garden for crying out loud. So there are horror versions of it. So that's why I wanted to do this. It's gonna be really fun, really cool story. But that'll be coming out in like April-ish.
Yep.
And then yeah, obviously more found footage, all the voices usual.
Nice. Awesome. Sounds like a lot of juicy stuff coming at Voices from the Mausoleum. Stay tuned.
Absolutely.
All the links, all the stuff where you can find us, Facebook, all that jazz, and YouTube will be down in the comments section. So hit us up down below, subscribe, show us some love, and we appreciate you all hanging out with us. Peace out.
Yeah.